So it's time for a new tablet. I recently sold my iPad Air 2019 and I just wanted some cheap tablet actually, so I ended up getting a Samsung Galaxy Tab A8 because this was heavily discounted if I bought it with a subscription. I got it very inexpensively, but I have just been a little underwhelmed by the performance of the A8, which actually brings us to the Galaxy Tab S8 5G, because this one is also right now pretty well discounted, even though it does cost like 10 times as much as I paid for the A8. You do also get a keyboard with this one here, this slim keyboard, or super slim I believe it's called, although I have to go into, I believe, the Samsung members app and claim that, so I will get it in like 14 days or something like that after actually purchasing the device. So it's not included right out of the bat, but anyways, also 5G variant here. And I bought it with a subscription as well, and I get it quite a bit cheaper that way. But anyway, Galaxy Tab, of course, S8 5G. This is just the 11-inch version. There's also a S8 Plus and an Ultra version. And I think, like, for me personally, the 11-inch is the sweet spot. I do not look into, or I'm not looking for a laptop replacement or anything like that. I just want a tablet that I can, browse the web, look at my emails, and of course, YouTube is pretty much the primary reason for getting a tablet, is watching content like YouTube and such, and also reading the occasional PDF file. So that's pretty much what I'm going to use. I'm not really sure I'm going to use the pen at all, because I've had the pen for all of my iPads ever since pens on iPad were a thing with the first generation of iPad Pros. And I never really used it a little bit in the beginning, but ended up not really using it. So this is also the only one that doesn't have an OLED screen or AMOLED screen, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm not really that keen on OLED screens in big devices or bigger screen devices. Really, it is nice and all, and if the screen is made properly, it is definitely a bump up in quality, especially, of course, the black areas of the screen and so on. But I feel still my eyes get a little bit strained when I actually look at like OLED screens. I can like handle it on my phone. It's fine enough on a smaller screen for me, but I have not gone OLED yet, and I still haven't gone OLED from my TV or any of my monitors. Not that there is that many monitors for PCs that has like OLED panels, but of course OLED TVs is very popular. So I'm used to looking at LCD screens when it comes to like bigger screen devices. So I feel like this is more comfortable for me. And also it does have the dedicated fingerprint reader, or the physical fingerprint reader on the power button, unlike the bigger version of this tablet that has an in-display fingerprint reader. But unfortunately, that is an optical in-display fingerprint reader, and that is, in my opinion, a deal breaker. I don't mind the implementation of my S22 Ultra, because it works very fast and reliable, but the S22 Ultra of course uses another technology, so it's not an optical fingerprint reader, and I've had like bad results with optical fingerprint readers in the past, in-screen fingerprint readers that is optical in the past. So yeah, definitely prefer like having a physical button that I can actually just touch to unlock this device here. But anyways, let's just get into this box. Very minimal packaging, as you can see, very thin box actually. So I suspect there is no charger included. Got a little bit of Samsung branding here on the side. And you can see here, this model is the 128GB variant. 8GB of RAM, made in Vietnam. And it does of course have expandable storage. And this is, like I said, also the 5G variant. So there's also a room for a SIM card. And on the back side here, so very minimal packaging. Only a little sticker there up in the corner. So I kind of like that. But of course, that also means that you don't get a charger in the box, which is a little unfortunate on a tablet device, which is more in line with the computer. But since it just uses standard USB Type-C, it's not really a big issue. And that's one reason why I ended up selling my iPad Air 2019. This was the one with the lightning connector, and that's pretty much the only device I have that only uses a lightning connector, which is kind of annoying when I'm traveling. So yeah, this one has USB Type-C. There's a slight damage there to the corner because the packaging it came in was actually pretty damaged, but I think the tablet itself should be just fine. Let's just cut through the seal. Because two seals here, top and the bottom. And let's just open the lid. That's pretty much it. And we are mid with the tablet here in the top. Let's just remove that and see what we get else in the box. Actually feels kind of nice. But anyways, one nice addition, of course, also from Samsung is we get the stylus or the pen included. So the S Pen for the Samsung, of course. And there's still a campaign here in my country where you also get the keyboard case included, or you get it shipped at a later date for free as well. So you get a stylus and a case with a keyboard for free. So that's a very nice bundle. And one of the reasons why I also wanted this one, because yeah, you don't have to pay separate for at least the stylus, and also if you're getting one of those campaigns, not the keyboard as well. Of course, Samsung branded here stylus feels kind of nice. A little bit soft touch plastic. There's a button there as well. So they do have some Bluetooth functionality, so you can take photos and do all kinds of air commands with the pen. But of course, you need to charge it for do so. You don't need to charge it to actually use it as a pen, but only if you want to use those Bluetooth functionality. And it seems to have been made in China. So yeah, nice pen. Of course, the one that included with the S22 Ultra is quite a bit smaller. And even though it's fine enough on the go, definitely the bigger pen there is much better in your hand. So nice addition, I like that. What we else get in the box here, Samsung branded box. Let's just have a look. And yeah, this is the USB Type-C cable. So you do get a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, and that's of course all you get in the box. You need to supply your own charger, but who doesn't have a USB charger nowadays? But of course you need one that can supply, I believe, at least 15 watt. And you can also fast charge up to 45 watt if you use one of the Samsung or one of the adapters that support 45 watt of charging. That's kind of nice. And last box here, do get a SIM/micro SD eject tool. Because if you don't have it with a built-in SIM capability, 5G capability, you can still pop that little tray out and just install your micro SD, which is very nice. For media and so on, have expandable storage, so you can just have apps and so on the tablet itself. 128 gigabytes for me is personally enough for my tablet, but if I wanted to download a lot of media, like videos and music and so on, and just install a micro SD card in this one. But anyways, let's get into this little box here. So what do we get here? So we get a quick start guide to get you quickly up and running. And it kind of explains, yeah, you can remove the SIM or the little tray there for SIM and micro SD, and some other specifications here, what kind of bands Wi-Fi and 5G is using. And I believe that's pretty much it. And then just a lot of different languages. Warranty information here, again, in many different languages. I live in Scandinavia, so this is, of course, market specific for that region of the world. But yeah, there's also United Kingdom and France and Dutch, Spain, Sweden and Benelux. So yeah, I think it's the same one they sell in all of Europe here. So let's remove the box and have a closer look at the tablet itself. Comes to this little sleeve here with a Samsung branding, and you get a little illustration here that you of course can mount the pen here on the back right there for charging and storage. And I believe you can also actually mount it on the top of the tablet. But of course, we'll try that once we have unboxed it. And then you have a little tab there you can actually pull. So let's just do that and remove the tablet from its packaging. And then of course, you are met with the tablet itself. And my camera always struggles to focus on a black surface like this. But yeah, I really like the feel of this tablet. Feels very substantial. But actually the A8, which is a very inexpensive tablet, also felt kind of nice. Does have a little bit of the same boxy design there and aluminium framing. But this one does actually feel a little bit better, a little sharper corner, which I actually prefer. So yeah, actually feels a little bit better in the hand. Better balanced in terms of weight as well. Let me just try the A8. Yeah, actually a little bit better balanced. The A8 again is pretty nice, but not as sharp corners. So I feel a little less confident when I actually holding the A8 in my hand. If I just hold it in one hand, at least my initial impressions here, versus the Tab S8 here, does feel a little nicer actually. Let's have a look around the tablet, of course. On the top here, we do have that power/fingerprint button. Again, I really prefer having this physical button, especially on a tablet like this, and especially compared to like an optical in-display fingerprint readers, which has never been working that well for me. Also a volume rocker here, right next to the power button. We do have a microphone hole up here, This is of course the SIM tray / micro SD tray. We have 2 of the 4 speakers here on the right side. And I believe, is that a microphone hole? No, no hole there. But we do have, of course, USB Type-C, which is USB 3.2 Gen 1, so 5 gigabits per second USB. Also supports display out, so you can actually connect the display to this one here and run Samsung DeX to get a full computer experience. So very nice to see that. I love USB Type-C. And another speaker there, of course, and a lot of antennas on the corners there as well. And we do have this like pogo pin connector here on the bottom with 2 holes there, so you can kind of align it perfectly. So you can use keyboards, and I believe not much other accessories is out for this, but at least, yeah, you can use a keyboard with this. And you can use the one that came with the S7, this one here, so you can use the same accessories with both S7 and S8, which is kind of nice. And on the left side here, we do have 2 other speakers, so quad speaker setup. We do have another microphone hole there and some more antenna lines. And of course on the back side there, really dig this design here. But yeah, as you can see, it does pick up a little bit of fingerprints and so on. Let's have a look at the camera here first. So we do have a dual camera setup with a little flash. This entire area here is for the pen, the S Pen, for of course charging it and also for storing. But like I said, you can also mount it up here as well, but it will not charge in this position. So if you want to use the Bluetooth functionality, you need to charge it from time to time using the spot here on the back. But kind of a nice placement. Of course, if you're actively using your stylus, you can just keep it up here and do a little bit of drawing and writing and store it back up here just temporarily, and just keep it on the back there for more permanent placement. And other than that, you see a lot of antenna lines here on the sides, of course, for Wi-Fi and 5G and Bluetooth, which is an important thing, that those things are working properly. And a little bit of Samsung branding here up in the corner. I kind of like this color and design. Looks pretty nice to me. I like that it has a little bit of a matte texture and finish, but still feels a little bit smooth to the touch. Let's actually try and turn it on and see if we do have any juice on there, and just set it up. And of course, after that, run some benchmarks. And yeah, there's definitely power on there. And first impressions, black definitely look black, but I do also have a lot of lighting in my little home studio here. So of course, my eyes will be adjusted to that, and better, of course, in nighttime and so on, to see if there is any like light leakage and so on. Welcome, but definitely first impression, it looks significantly better than my tablet A8 and also the iPad that I came from. You know, not the best screen on the Tab A8, but again, also significantly less expensive. Let's just go through the setup process, and I will set it up to English just for this video, and of course change it back to my native language once I'm done. And let's just agree to as few of those as possible, so you only need to agree to the first one. Let's go next, and you need to agree to all the permissions to use those Samsung apps and services. So yeah, fine enough. If you of course want to use all of that, just hit agree. Let's log into a Wi-Fi network. This also have Wi-Fi 6E, but I only have a Wi-Fi 6 router. So let's just log into that, and let's hit connect. Service provider setup. I do not have a SIM in this as of yet, of course. But yeah, you always need to do this in a new tablet or a smartphone from Android. So let's just reboot. So after a reboot, I'm asked if I want to copy any data and apps. I always set my devices up a new device, so I will select don't copy, and I will do the same again. For some reason I had to do it 2 times. Checking my info. And of course, let's just sign in to a Google account. And of course, when you're logged in, you need to agree to Google services. Always disable allow scanning and disable send usage and diagnostic data, but of course up to you what you want to agree to. And then hit accept. Choose our search engine. I will just select Google. That's what I'm used to. So let's move on to fingerprint or face recognition. Of course, protect your tablet. I do definitely recommend using a fingerprint for the best security. Face recognition, I believe you can only use that to log into your tablet, and you're using only the camera. There's not any extra security, but I believe there is a second camera here for Face ID or unlocking in with your face. You can do it both orientation. Let me just select fingerprint here. Let's hit continue. and I will just use a pin as a secondary login. So let me just do that not now, and I always select confirm pin without tapping OK, because then you only really need to tap in your pin and will automatically get inside of your device. So let me just type in a pin, and I have to do this 2 times to, of course, verify that I typed it correctly the first time. Next off, of course, scan your fingerprint, and you can kind of feel where the button is, and just lift your finger up and down like so, and let's just add another finger. So I've added both of my pointy fingers now, so let's just move on. You selected Google as your search provider. Didn't it just tell me that? Yes, it told me that twice. Hit next. It'll just get me back to there. Ah, that's annoying. So I had to tap that button like 500 times, but anyways, let's move on. Google Assistant, I do like that, so let's just use it. And also, if I have a lock screen on, getting your tablet ready. Thank you very much. And of course, this is a Samsung tablet, so if you want to use any of the Samsung services, so you need to log into a Samsung account, or of course you can create one, just sign in with your Google account. But I do already have a Samsung account, so I will just, of course, log into that one. And when you log into a Samsung account, you don't need to agree to anything else. Then, of course, the general terms, condition there. So all of the other here is optional, but let's just hit agree to what we, of course, need to agree to. Nothing else. And I do have 2-step authentications on my Samsung account, so I will have a separate code here on my phone that I can, of course, type to log in. And we are all signed in with my Samsung account, and we should just be ready to go now. Pretty much the same experience setting up your tablet as a Samsung phone nowadays. Pretty easy, but there is definitely a few steps you have to go through. And let's just get into settings actually and set a few things up. Let's just have a look at the software information here. So we're running Android 12 and One UI 4.1, which is the latest as of this video. And right out of the box here, we have used 21% of the 128 gigabyte storage. So we have used like 27.5 gigabyte, which is actually quite a lot. And let's just have a look at some of the built-in applications here. See what kind of bloatware we can find on this device. Actually, my Tab A8 didn't come with Facebook. I believe it's the first tablet or device from Samsung I've seen without Facebook, and this one doesn't have Facebook either, so definitely nice addition there. But of course, it has all of the Google services pre-installed, Microsoft, some of the Microsoft services pre-installed and apps, as well as still dual messages apps, so both the Android messages and also Samsung messages. Netflix pre-installed, don't really mind that because that's something I use. But you can see here, OneDrive and Outlook is Microsoft software. And we have, a lot of, I'll call pretty much bloatware from Samsung, a little bit of bloatware. And Spotify as well is still also pre-installed, but not really all that much. And if you don't like an app like Spotify, you can uninstall it, which is definitely what I am going to do. I don't use Spotify, so why keep it there? Let's just have a look at display settings. I prefer having the dark mode turned on because that's just what I'm personally used to. And we of course also have the 120 Hertz screen here, but this is, I believe, it's the only one in the tablet or tab series that also have adaptive refresh rate. So that's a little bit of a bonus there. So you can kind of adapt the refresh rate to the content you are using and hopefully just save a little bit of battery life there. And screen right out of the box is set to vivid, but you can also of course set it to normal if you want a little more natural colors. I don't really mind the vivid color scheme there. Let's just set the timeout for 5 minutes, and navigation bar there, let's just set it to swipe gestures here, because not only do you get a little bit of real estate here in the bottom section, which is kind of nice with a little shorter screen like this one here. Doesn't have the like 6:3 or 3:2 aspect ratio like many other tablets. This is a 16:10 aspect ratio screen. So you get a little more real estate if you use the swipe gestures. And again, that's something I personally am used to. Just swiping up, of course, to go home, and you can go back by swiping either of the sides. And of course, swipe up and hold if you want to get back into your app. So that's what I always personally set up on my Samsung Galaxy Tab or my Samsung devices right out of the box. But of course, let me just install all the latest greatest software and firmware and then get back, and we can run some benchmarks, of course, and also compare it a little bit to the A8, which, like I said, again, did underwhelm me a little bit in terms of performance. It's okay if I'm just inside an application like browsing or YouTube It's fine enough, but as soon as I start to do a little bit of multitasking, it just bogs down so bad. So not unusable, but definitely I would prefer having something a little more smoother for my personal use case. But you can see here, it does come with the latest and greatest firmware, but there is definitely a lot of updates here running in the background. So let's just, like I said, get up to date and install some applications, and let's get back with some benchmarks and testing. So I have spent a little time actually setting this tablet up. Of course, instead of installing some benchmarking application, there was actually also a firmware update that I have installed here. So I think right now, let's just try and actually install a micro SD and a nano SIM in this device here. And of course, you can use the supplied SIM eject tool, but I already have these tools here available, so I'll just use those. And let's have a look at the little compartment there. There is no rubber ring around it, so no weather sealing, and I hope soon we'll see like weather sealing on tablets. That would be kind of nice. But on the one side here, you do have for the SIM. Of course, only if you have the SIM version, I believe you have this compartment there. And on the other side here, you do have for the micro SD. So you can have a micro SD and a SIM in at the same time, which is of course nice. But there's of course no dual SIM or anything like that in a device like this. And I'm just using this 256 gigabyte Evo Plus from Samsung. But you can use up to a terabyte of micro SD card in this tablet here. And I don't believe you can install all applications on SD cards, but some you can, and some other apps you can actually move the stuff to the SD card, but I don't really recommend doing that. Always keep your app and the data on the tablet itself, because it does have much faster storage. SD cards, in my opinion, is just for photos, videos, music, and so on. Stuff you download and have on your device so you can watch offline, like videos and shows. And of course, also if you want to record video and photos, you can do it to the SD card. So let's just install that one right now. Just put it in place. It's nicely held in place here. You can kind of see the pins there on the back. And let's just throw in a SIM card. This is of course a nano SIM, so the smallest SIM in this one. Would have been nice to see eSIM capabilities of this tablet here, but unfortunately not yet. Maybe in future generations, maybe the S9 or S10 or something like that. And then of course all there is to do is just plug it back into the tablet like so, and you're ready to go. And you can also see actually there's plastic all the way around the tablet here. So let's just get rid of that, actually peel it off. One thing I noticed right out the bat here on the back of my device is there seem to be not scratches, but a little bit inconsistency with the actual coating. Not really sure if it picks up on camera there, but there is a little bit of inconsistency there, but it is very minor. So we have removed all the plastic around the frame of the device. Let's just test out the fingerprint sensor here. And you can see right out the bat, you don't need to press the button, but just touch the fingerprint sensor there on top of the button. Let's see if we can just keep my camera in focus there. Touching the button there, it is very consistent and very fast. So pretty close to instant actually getting into a device like this. So that's fantastic. Something I miss on my Tab A8. There's no kind of biometric login method on this one here. You can kind of set up face unlock with the camera, but you have to log into your device every like 4 hours, or else you have to type in your PIN again. I can also enable smart lock, which I have enabled right now. But again, if I don't use the tablet for a period of time, I still have to type in my PIN, which is kind of annoying. So really enjoyed that fingerprint sensor, or I will enjoy the fingerprint sensor in the future. Also, if you use applications like banking applications and so on, where you need to authenticate yourself with a fingerprint sensor or either type in a password, I definitely prefer having the fingerprint sensor for those type of applications as well, just to get faster in there and still have high level of security. Let's just set up the micro SD card and go in and format it. And let's go into storage here. And apparently you have to swipe over here to actually see your SD card. It's a little bad interface, I believe. You could probably have them stacked on top of each other here if you kind of wanted to format the SD card. But anyways, let's go here and actually just hit format, just so everything is set up to this tablet here. So successfully formatted. I have 256 GB of external storage, and of course the 128 GB internal storage. So let's just look at some applications here. First off, let's look at the camera. So asked if I wanted to turn on location tags. I kind of like that, and I need to of course allow it to use geotagging, and I would kind of like to use my micro SD card as a storage device or to store my photos and video. So you kind of have to go in here and set it to SD card. So now it's set to SD card. So of course all my photos will be stored in the external storage. Let's just try and take a photo here of an object. So this is my mouse using the default camera and the default app. You also have the ultra wide camera here as well. So you have the 1 time and you have the 0.5 times. So this is the default camera. You can see all of the dust there on the mouse, and of course the ultra wide camera. Actually, first impressions look pretty nice actually, not really bad. I'm not using my tablet as a camera that often, but from time to time it is kind of useful to have that available. And of course the selfie camera here, beside of course the beautiful object. It's a pretty decent selfie camera. Actually, I believe it's 12 megapixels and can record up to 4K video. And of course for conferencing calls, this is actually an excellent camera. And you also have the little more ultra wide setting here, so you can kind of go wide and ultra wide with the front facing camera, but it just uses the one up there. There is also a camera over here on the left side, but I believe this is only for facial recognition. The same setup here as well. You can see the smaller cameras there and there, or maybe they're just a sensor, light sensor. I think actually they are cameras, but I believe, like I said, they only really use them for facial recognition. So the camera here and the sensor is for only photo and of course video calls and stuff like that. So of course if you have your S Pen charged up, you can use that as a remote shutter. It's kind of nice. So single press, just take a photo, double press, you can switch between the cameras and so on and so on. So that's kind of a nice thing as well. So you can kind of prop the tablet up and you can take family photos just using this shutter button. Of course we do have video functionality, so we can record up to 4K 30 FPS, and we have a few more settings here. So we have both Pro for photo and Pro for video as well. Night mode, single take, and so on. A lot of those things are also on the smartphones. And you also have the portrait mode as well. So yeah, pretty decent camera actually. And like I said, I don't use cameras that much in my tablet, but definitely it is a nice camera to have. Screen quality on this tablet here actually surprised me a little bit. Looks very nice, look much more vivid and saturated than the cheaper tablet here, the A8, which is of course understandable because it is a more expensive tablet, more high-end tablet. This is just a photo I took the other day here of a rainbow, and I really like the screen. Very saturated, nice color, nice black as well. Deep black, not quite up to OLED standard of course, but it is definitely a screen I am more than happy with. I don't think you will regret getting the screen of this device here, even though it does not have an AMOLED screen. Could probably be a turn off to some people, but I don't think you will actually miss an AMOLED screen on a device like this here. But of course, if you want that AMOLED screen, you need to go for the Plus or the Ultra version. One nice thing, of course, with Samsung devices is also the DeX functionality, which makes a little more sense in a device like this. If you hit the DeX button, or I believe if you have the keyboard cover, you can also set it to automatically go into DeX mode every time you have the keyboard on. It will kind of work like a laptop or a computer with like an icon and taskbar in the bottom, like, you know, Windows-ish setup or Mac OS or whatever. So you kind of have your apps in the F drawer there, your icons on your desktop here. You also have some shortcuts there for different apps. Of course, you can change those around. But whenever you open an application, like Play Store for instance, it will open up in a windowed mode. So you kind of move it around and you can open like multiple applications and move them around. Quite nice. This works of course better with a mouse or a pointing device like the S Pen for instance. And of course you can have two apps side by side. If you are into that kind of thing, I don't really use it that often, but it does make a lot more sense in my opinion on a like UI like this one here. So yeah, definitely a nice thing. Something I will probably try using, but not really something I am specifically buying this tablet to use. I really just want to use it as a tablet, a normal tablet, just pressing a few icons with my fingers and, you know, watch some YouTube and email and so on, but definitely a nice addition there. And let's just see how we actually get out of DeX mode. Okay, press down here and let's just get out of DeX mode again. And it only takes really a few seconds to switch between normal Android and DeX mode. So quite nice. I like the ability to do that, but I'm not really sure I'm going to use it. Just like the S Pen, I really like having the ability to use an S Pen or a input device like this, but I'm not really sure it's something I will use in day-to-day life. Let's just take a listen to the speakers of this one. Of course, it does have 4 speakers. Right now, I believe I have not yet enabled Atmos. Yeah, so Dolby Atmos is disabled. Let's just try and listen to it without Atmos first. Of course, 100% now. Definitely think the sound is pretty nice coming from this device here, and Dolby Atmos does definitely add a little bit extra volume to the overall sound stage. So let's just try a speaking video. So this is just the last video I made as of recording this video, of course, and let's just hear how my voice actually sounds through these speakers here. So in this video we will have a closer look at this TrendNet 2.5 gigabit LAN adapter, PCI Express network adapter. Does support jumbo frames, of course PCI Express, and this is a 2.5 gigabit LAN, and I feel like 2.5 gigabit, at least for me here in my home environment, is the sweet spot, both in terms of price and also in terms of power consumption and heat. So it doesn't draw as much power as 10 gigabit and of course 5 gigabit as well, which is not that common. But 10 gigabit definitely does draw a lot more power and need a lot beefier of a heatsink, and also costs quite a bit more. So when it comes to speaking voice, I don't think the Atmos did that big of a change, actually disabling it. But overall, I think the audio is definitely very nice, and a little bit impressed actually that I'm, at 100% volume right now. There is a slight distortion, but definitely a pleasant listening experience even at 100% volume, which is something I will rarely ever use. I will probably use it like a 60, 80% or something like that. So yeah, pretty impressed by the overall audio quality. Let's actually try and run some benchmarking applications. Geekbench is always my go-to benchmark application because it works on so many different platforms. Of course, this is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, I believe it's called. The CPU, GPU in here, I believe the biggest upgrade to this generation is the GPU performance. But anyways, let's just start out with the CPU performance. So benchmarking done here. 1204 single core, 3079 multi-core. The tablet is still brand new, so there could be a lot of background activity still going on. Not quite sure, but just for comparison here, the Tab A8, you can see we are getting pretty much around the same single core score on the S8 as we do on multi-core score on the tablet A8. Yeah, like I said, this is not really an impressive performer, but I believe the main reason for that is the only 3 GB of RAM versus 8 GB here. Definitely does help out quite a lot. Let's try and run the compute, and let's just run OpenCL. So compute benchmark done as well. 5885, which is quite a good score compared to, again, A8 here. We see not even 1,000 scores, so definitely very big improvement in terms of graphical performance. Let's try and run wildlife stream, see what kind of frame rate we get. And we're done here, and we're looking at an average frame of or frame rate, frames per second as at 11.3, which is pretty good again from an Android tablet. I believe this is among the better ones out there. And let's just compete again, compare against the A8 again. We are getting 183 there versus 1889, 1.1 frame versus 11.3 frames. So much faster here in terms of the S8 and its compute benchmark or the graphical performance. Let's just try and see how fast the built-in storage actually is. So we're gonna test the internal memory first. So internal memory speed test has finally finished. So we're looking at 1000 megabytes per second read speed and 273 megabytes per second write speed, which is plenty fast. And again, we compare to the cheaper device here, 200 read speed and 68 write speed. So much faster again for the Tab S8 in terms of read and write speed. And that matters when you're installing apps and opening applications and so on. Of course, read speed is probably the most important one because that's what you use when you're actually opening up applications. So let's try one more test here, which is the speed test. And first up, we'll test Wi-Fi and then we'll move on to 4G. Unfortunately, I do not have any 5G connectivity in my area, so I cannot only really test 4G as of this video here. But of course, first off here, we'll just test off Wi-Fi. And Samsung has really been killing it lately here, at least with my router. I do have a Wi-Fi 6 router. And of course, I'm connected to Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz band here. And I do have a 1 gigabit LAN connection. So that's the maximum speed I can get through my device here. And you can see download, I am 784 megabits per second, upload 619. So that's very fast for Wi-Fi. Let's just try this one again, just to see if it wasn't a fluke. And again here, we do get pretty similar results. So very fast down and upload speeds. Very impressed by that. And let's just disable Wi-Fi. And now we are connected with 4G plus. And let's see what kind of speed we can get using 4G LTE. So 90 megabits per second down and 54 megabits per second upload. Pretty fast really for any kind of streaming and yeah, whatever you should do on a device like this. Of course, if you're downloading very large files, not really sure this is a device for you, but like for streaming and so on, this should be plenty fast. Let's just try it again and see if we get a different result the second time. And second run here, we did actually get a little bit faster download speed. So we just exceeded the 100 megabits per second download with 111 and upload 42 megabits per second. Like I said, this is definitely plenty fast for whatever kind of stuff I plan to use on this tablet here. And this is only on 4G LTE. On 5G, it should be even faster than that, of course, depending on how far you are from your cellular reception or from the cell tower. Of course, let's just try out the pencil there. So we do have some functionality. You can of course play pause, play next track, volume up, volume down, I believe, gesture up and down from the screen here. You can actually invoke all of those shortcuts there. Never really found that useful, but anyways, you also get the quick menu here. Whenever you of course have the tablet in your hand and you're hovering over the screen, pressing the button, you will get those quick selections there. This is just a standard one. You can also add your own application. For instance, I like to use OneNote, so I'll probably add that in the future, but you can add pretty much any application there to your shortcut. But let's just create a note and actually try and just write with this one here. So clip web pages into notes while browsing in the Samsung Internet. Tap to add a title. Of course, you can add whatever title. Hello. Let's see if I can write with my left hand here. Let's delete this one. Hello world. Definitely feels very fast and fluid when I'm using it. Not really sure I can actually feel any type of lag, and I really like the way it feels on the screen. There's a little bit of resistance there from the tip. I believe the tip can also be replaced, but we do not get any tip in the box. We did used to do that back in the days with the previous generations of, I believe, tablets and also smartphones from Samsung that included a stylus. We got a little tool and extra tips, but I believe you can actually buy those tips separately and just replace those. But feels very nice. There's a little bit of drag like that, so you get a little bit of resistance, so it feels closer to writing on a piece of paper compared to like the Apple Pencil, which is kind of skating all over the place. I really like this writing experience, but I'm not really sure I'm going to use it. I like to have it. Needed to draw something, for instance, if I needed to refurniture my home or one of the rooms in my home. I have used like a pen before to kind of draw up a sketch on the tablet, so you can kind of see where the furnitures go and, you know, write all the measurements down. Can be kind of useful for that. For me personally, I'm not an artist or anything like that, and I don't really jot down notes with a pen all that often. Also like writing on screen, take a screenshot, write on that and send to family and friends if you want to just explain something or show something from a specific place on the internet or so on. You can kind of use the pen for that, or I've used the pen for that in the previous past, but not something I use on a daily basis. But I like to have it, and since it is free, or not free, but it is included with the tablet, I definitely do not mind it at all. If I had to go out and buy this for extra $129 or whatever the Apple Pencil costs, I'm not really sure I would do that, not right out of the bat, maybe eventually, but yeah, the fact that it is included is a very big bonus. So let's just close that one down there and round this video up. So first impressions, very nice. I really like it. The only really drawback, in my opinion, to Samsung Galaxy tablets, this one, and I believe the A8 is even worse, but I see a lot of reflections. I can see there's some kind of anti-reflecting coating on this one here, because the light that I'm seeing reflected in this screen here is a little more yellowish, versus this one here is just pretty much like a mirror. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. You can probably see it if I angle it up there. The lights is definitely not as reflective on the S8 as it is on the A8, but still I think a little too reflective for my taste. I do also like matte screens, so had they come out with like a matte screen of this Tab S8, I definitely would have ordered that one, but I can live with this. And of course the screen, let's just try and ramp up the brightness. Actually, the screen is also plenty bright, so should be able to kind of see anything on this screen here, even in pretty bright sunny weather conditions. Maybe not the most of sunny weather conditions, but definitely should be plentiful for most conditions as well. And let's just see if we go into display settings here and disable auto brightness, if they will actually be brighter than that. I don't see a difference here to my eyes. It should also go up to the highest brightness level because I have a lot of light shining down towards the tablet. So if you use adaptive brightness and a lot of light, of course it will just turn on the light to full brightness there. So definitely screen wise, I like it a lot. Not an AMOLED screen, but it is the second best. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't really particularly long for a AMOLED screen of a device like this. I kind of like LCD screens or TFT screens, as Samsung is stating on this device here, because that's what I'm used to on my monitors and on my TV as well. I still have LCD or VA panels, which is my preferred type of display type. So I'm used to that. You do not get those inky blacks, but who really cares about black levels? I personally don't really care too much about it, but all of a sudden, all people kind of see that as a major reason to go out and get an AMOLED screen. Are you really looking at the black areas of the screen? I'm not really, so don't care too much about that. And this screen is definitely plentiful for me. I like the form factor as well. 16:10 aspect ratio. This is the first time I've had an Android tablet. Seriously, Android tablet here for quite a few years actually. I've been on the iPad wave for a long time because yeah, still probably iPad have the better applications. But now I feel like Android has come a long way, and actually the application that is made specifically for a smartphone on an Android tablet, they kind of work okay if you use it like in the other orientation. And let's just actually see how fast it will actually rotate the screen. Actually plenty fast. does get a little faster once you rotate it a few times. And let's just try and rotate the screen on the A8, because you can see it takes many seconds to actually rotate the screen. And this can be even worse if you are doing anything in the background. Not really the greatest experience, really. But if you rotate the screen, you can actually get a full screen experience with mobile applications on an Android tablet. Unlike on the iPad, if they're made for iPhone, you kind of have to see it and only cut out in the middle, and you kind of stretch it out, but it doesn't really take out the full screen and looks maybe a little washed out because it's not really optimized for that kind of resolution and so on. So maybe you don't get the best tablet specific applications on an Android tablet, like for video, photo editing and so on, but you get close to the same experience with like 80% of the applications, and those applications that are optimized for smartphones actually works a little better on Android tablets, in my opinion at least. I also look forward to test out the 16:10 aspect ratio, which I prefer on a laptop, but I've not really spent that much time with it on a tablet because, like I said, I've used iPad and those are 4:3, I believe most of them at least. Previous generations are 4:3 aspect ratio, which is fantastic for reading and PDF files and so on. But if you're watching a lot of content, which is like what I do, maybe 80% of my tablet is just YouTube consumption, I feel like this little bit wider aspect ratio is actually the sweet spot, and not quite 16:9. I feel that like that is a little too short in the height because you lose a lot of real estate there if you go into websites and so on. But 16:10 is a nice sweet spot, so you still get plenty wide and not too much black borders on top of and below of the screen, especially now that a lot of YouTubers, including myself, do have like wider aspect ratio or upload videos in a wider aspect ratio than 16:9. And then of course you have all of those customizations abilities on Android. You can skin it, you can have a lot of different widgets that you can actually interact with and, you know, set up your home screen the way you prefer it and so on. I like that a lot. You get a tablet, you get a stylus included. I also get the keyboard included after like 40 days or so. I have to wait for that to arrive, but still free of charge. And this whole combination here, 128 gigabytes of storage, 5G variant, actually costs less than the, what is the 9th generation iPad Air that came out in 2022 with only 64 gigabytes of storage. Doesn't include a stylus or a keyboard case, and it actually costs a little bit more than this one here. So I feel like this is definitely much better value. It doesn't hold up as well in value in terms of if you are selling it 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the line, you'll not get as much for a tablet like this than you do, of course, for an iPad. I just sold my iPad Air 2019 and got a pretty good price for that. Actually surprised how much, you know, some of those third-party resellers would actually give me for a tablet like that. You're not really going to get the same level of value with a tablet like this here in a few years' time. But Samsung is guarantee you 4 years of updates, and that is system updates. So you get, what is it? It came included with Android 12. So you get 13, 14, 15, and 16, and 5 years of security updates. I don't know about you, but I've never had a tablet for 5 years. The usual time span a tablet lives for me is around 2 years, but that's also probably the longest I've ever had a tablet. But 4 years, system updates, very nice. I think a big thumbs up to Samsung for that. That's something we need really in the Android space, because that's always been a major drawback with these Android tablets. You never really know how many updates you're going to get down the line. And Samsung has been excellent at coming out with new updates for their tablet, or for the smartphones and tablet. Been quite impressed with the amount of updates I've gotten to my S22 Ultra, to the point now where it's actually very good and very good battery life. Big improvements since I actually got it, and nice to see that they will actually continue, or they will also do that on their tablet series. So a big thumbs up there, and high hopes for this longevity of this tablet here. So yeah, first impressions, I really like it. I like the build quality, I like the feel of the device, I like the aspect ratio, I like the screen quality, I like the speaker quality. Wi-Fi is very impressed with the speed wise, and so far the applications I've used on my tablet, namely the A8, which I've been using for a few weeks now, I have not really run into any applications that I have not been using properly with this screen size here, 60:10 aspect ratio. So most of the applications that I use actually work just well on or works fine on a tablet device. I hope this tablet will be my next tablet for at least a few years. Maybe I can even squeeze 3 years out of this one here. Hopefully. That's always my goal when I buy something new, that I can squeeze several years out out of it, but I end up always being very tempted when anything new comes out. So let's just see how long this will last, but I hope at least a few years. But that's pretty much it for this video. Unboxing first look and running some benchmarks. Any questions, of course, put them down in the comment field below. And I will also share some affiliated link down in the description below if you're interested in getting this tablet here. But else, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope to see you again in a future one. Until then, take care.